Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is the Golf Guru bringing you my sleepers, fades, and projections for the 2021 Farmers Insurance Open. Thank you so much for clicking on me and spending a few minutes. I think you're going to find some great value. I'm going to dive right into the details. No BS here, and let's do it. All right, first thing, weather. As I mentioned in the previous show, there was quite a bit of weather that came on Monday. They actually shut down the course. Pro-Am could not be played. And but it looks like only Friday is the only time that there's going to be some crazy winds. This is being pulled off Wind Finder, and I recommend that you get the app or check the website and pull up La Jolla Pier that is right next to the course. That'll give you the most up-to-date wind weather information you could find. So the only thing you could think about is if you're putting together a team and maybe the guys that we're going to be talking about, if for some odd reason they would have a morning tee time on Thursday, then that would give them a later tee time because it looks like the worst of it is going to be in the morning. Now, again, this is being recorded Wednesday around noon Eastern. So a lot can change, but keep it up to date, keep an eye on it. But it's the only thing that I'm looking out for. So, of course, also for Showdown, something that you want to leverage. Okay. I put this in here because I don't want to forget to do projections. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. And here we go. Okay. So no shocker, the 2-3 highest owned guys are, of course, the most expensive guys, and that would be Rahm, Rory, and Finau. And I actually watched, so I didn't watch a whole lot of the Abu Dhabi where Rory was winning and then fell back and lost to Hatton. And I didn't get to watch it all. But what I did see that made me a little nervous was Rory's putting. He missed like some really short putts, some easy putts. And that's what Rory's been doing when it's just been the putter. And I'm not saying I'm, going to totally fade him now. I made a pick with him, but it just gave me that bad feeling that I've had on multiple weekends of watching Rory just kind of collapse, on the Sunday rounds with the putter. So I don't know why. I just felt like I had to air that out. So if you are, I guess the reason why I'm airing it out in your builds, if you are in between Rahm or Rory, I think I'm going to lean more towards Rahm. They're both, I think, either one could technically win, but I think Rahm actually has more win equity right now. Rory's game just, he's been showing some good signs. Don't get me wrong. Just something with the putter, and it just brought back some bad feelings. So that's it. Going to get off that. I think Finau for this price is way too much. I will not be. I'll pivot to Schauffele before I'll play Finau at that price. Again, I think Finau from a scoring DraftKings perspective is always pretty solid, but from a win equity and from where he'll finish, I don't think it's worth 20%. And also that price tag. He's typically in a field like this, and this isn't like a major field, but again, it's a mini major esque kind of tournament. Even though, like I said, Finau's done well in the majors, he's done well on tough courses. But when we say well, that's when he's priced up at mid eights, 9,000, and get you a T10, or something like that. So. Of course, the Schauffele, the whole thing with his course history here has been a big topic. I think he was, he was interviewed, and I saw it yesterday on the Golf Channel about this. And there's 2 points you could take away from it. On 1 point in high school, he actually played matches there on the South Course. And, I don't think he ever won a match is what they said, which, whatever, that's interesting. But of course, I said before, and I think it holds true, he lives 10 minutes away or grew up 10 minutes away from here. I think, he just put so much pressure on himself to do well here. Probably had the fans, the friends that he was dealing with while he was there. Of course, there is no fans or friends that are going to be attending, which makes me say, hey, maybe this is the one time he can, well, not the one time, but the start of doing well there. Of course, he's made a cut before, but all the other ones he's missed. I still like Reed. So like these two guys, might be an interesting build to start with these two guys and go on from there, just to differentiate. Of course, people talk about Harris. He should deserve. I don't think this is a course fit for Harris English, and I didn't do a lot of analysis on it. You know, I mean, we could go look at him a little more, but I think he just will do better in, you know, in not this kind of tournament or course. You got Sanjay, who's quite a bit less known, and we could talk about him later. So Matsuyama I like, and he's coming in, of course, at 20%. Bubba I also like. We haven't seen him since the Masters, but we're going on what we know and from a course fit perspective. Ryan Palmer, like I said, I have him. I don't know how many bills I put with him. Like I said, you know, good course history, but you know, the more and more I kind of dig into it, I don't know this is the best fit for him. But like I said, I'm going to stick with my pick. I think I had him at a top 20. Just, you know, everything else from recent form and past history points you there. Adam Scott at 20. Cam Davis, kind of funny how he's getting all the love now. Where like he was totally off everybody's radar. You know, I was kind of on him when he was, you know, I picked him, so it would have been the Sony, and he did pretty well there. And of course, he had a great showing there. And this game fits here, but he's still very volatile. He could easily go out and miss the cut just as much as make it. That's why I don't have him in my top 30. I think people have a lot of high expectations for him now, and that's typically when people disappoint. Same with Gary Woodland. I mean, yes, he says he's the best he's felt in 4 months. He played without any pain. And so I think it's a decent value, you know, getting Gary at 7,800. His skill set, you know, does well for this course. So I don't have any issues with that. Kokrak, we already picked. Connors is up a little bit. Taylor Gooch, who we're going to talk about here very shortly. He's actually probably one of my favorite. I think he's a sleeper, but now it's kind of telling me, at least from these projections, that he's not that big of a sleeper. But for the price, I think it's a good play, and we'll see why. CH3, also kind of like him. Charlie Hoffman's interesting. You know, his history and everything says that he could do pretty well here. But what really scares me is that, you know, you don't pull out of a tournament when you're T11, you know, 8 under, you know, something serious happened with the back. Now, you could have just literally pulled it and, you know, they've got the treatments and he feels better, but can it happen again? You know, typically, if you know pulled backs, which I do, you know, they might feel like they went away after, you know, 5 or 6 days, and then one wrong move and away you go. Let's see if anybody else. Doug Gim, the Gim Reapers, almost at 10%. John is at 9.8. I'm just going to call out the guys. Luke Liss, whoever I kind of picked out, which, you know, Luke could be very volatile, but, you know, everything I could see with him, he could, you know, if the putter goes well, he could do well here. Wanda Clark, I do like, who's up a little bit. Johnny Vegas. Will Gordon hits the ball long off the tee. I think that's about it. Everybody else is kind of less than 1%. Okay, I think that's enough on projections. But I hope that gives you an idea. If you are trying to make some unique builds, you have an idea of now where guys are coming in, at least through Fantasy National and their projections. And that's what it is. It's a projection on their ownership by people that click them or have actually, you know, made builds. So this here is guys that have already pumped in, you know, large builds into fantasy from here. So anyways, I'm sorry, into DraftKings from Fantasy National. All right, let's go talk about some of these guys. Okay, so I've actually got 5 guys that I like as my sleepers. I'm going to talk about 12 just so you can see them and make your own decisions. Taylor Gooch is probably my favorite at this range of 7,600. Of course, some other people are seeing the things that I see. Recent results, you know, he had a 4th at Houston, which I do think is a somewhat of a comp course. I'm not saying it's an exact match. And of course, he's had decent, you know, tournament history here. He had a 3rd in 2019, made the cut the other 2 times. But if you go into Taylor, which I've already clicked on it, this is probably one reason. So he likes POA. It's his best surface for putting. He can play in the wind. There's going to be a little bit of wind. He's up tick on his stroke gain. You can see that also represented here. But if we go look at some of the comp courses, so the Genesis, you know, people are looking at Riviera as a good comp course, and when you have a 10th and a 20th, that's going to, you know, point people that way. Also, another course I added, which I agree was Wells Fargo, which is Quail Hollow. it's a pretty good, representation of this, of Torrey Pines. He's had a good finish there in 2018. I'm still sticking with Arnold. Bay Hill, it's not a perfect, but there's some things that I think align. So he had a 13th there in 2020. If you look at WGC Mexico, he has never played in a WGC. The Houston, that's probably another one. He's had 2 4th-place finishes, so note to self, when the Houston Open comes back around, he's a pretty good fit there. And then the PGA didn't play in 2019, and he missed a cut in 2020, which was at Harding Park. Took me a moment there. So everything from a bunch of information, different data points, will lend you to say that, Taylor Gooch should make the cut and, could even get within the top 30. So if you're, from a betting perspective, if you're looking for a long shot, I did make some bets. I don't think I picked Gooch yet, but some of these other guys I have put some long shot bets on and some top 10s and whatnot. Next guy, Charles Howell. Just, CH3 is just not a sexy guy to play, but you can see his ownership has slightly been going up. He likes POA. He can play in the wind. So a little bit Snedeker-esque. Difficult rounds he does well in. You can see his stroke gain analysis is on the way up. And this is represented here. His approach is probably, something that could tend to hurt. So you'd think the miscut recently would have, maybe got some people off him, but we've seen his projected ownerships. Where was it at for Howell? Let's take a look. Actually, it would be right here. Sorry. So at 9%. So still a little higher. All right, let's go look at some other courses or tournaments. So the Genesis, he had a 6 in 2019, a 59th recently, so that's decent. We look at Wells Fargo, he had a 21st, a 10th, and 18th. We look at Arnold, the API, 15th to 14th. Let's see about WGC Mexico. So he had a 14th and a 53rd. And then the PGA in 2019, he made the cut and had a 41st. So all those reasons is why I am liking some Charles Howell, some CH3. Dylan Fratelli. I thought this guy, because we haven't seen him in a little bit. But what I was shocked, I got to go look. Let's see what it was. I think it was at the Masters is what, and I'm not saying that was the end all be all, but that he has gained distance off the tee. And I guess he was working with DeChambeau, and I can't think of the guy that's been working with him to increase his, swing speed and all that fun stuff. And Fratelli's been messing around with it, and he has gained, I don't know if it's 20 yards, 15 yards. And not that he was, short, but he was sneaky longer than I thought. And so the first thing I thought of was this course, the length. And I already was kind of in my mind was like literally I put a team together probably like Monday evening, just kind of threw one together. I like to do that. I like to throw a team together before I do a ton of analysis. I just like to go off of what I know and see how that team does compared to when I do all the, information data dump digs. But anyways, let's go take a look. So the Farmers, he had a 73rd, so nothing great there. Genesis, he had a 20. Well, when was that? Did it so fast. 2019, missed a cut in 2020. Wells Fargo, a 24th. What about the PGA in 2019? Missed a cut at Bethpage. And did he play at WGC? Yeah, and he had a 55th in the WGC Mexico, which is pretty interesting because it's a lot of red there. But anyways, again, from a bit of I actually put a bet on Fratelli to win outright again, just, crazy bet. But his ownership's pretty low. So, you can definitely get, if he does get us into a top 20, top 30 somehow, we're ahead of the field. Joel Damon, let's go take a look at him real quick. So from a putting perspective, least best worst surface, one of those things, right? I mean, he's not a good putter to begin with typically, but out of all surfaces in his past history, POA is his best. Can play in difficult courses, we'll say. Conditions wise, though, maybe not the best. He's been uptrending on his stroke gain. You can see that again represented here. Let's go see history. So he had a 9th at the Farmers. That's probably what's putting some people on. I think that's about where people stop when they kind of do a bunch of deep dive. But I like the 5th place in 2020 at the Genesis. Again, at Riviera, tough course. So we know he can get around a track like this. Wells Fargo, he had a 2nd place. So again, like that. That was 2019. Let's take a look at the Houston. Didn't play ever in the Houston. That's interesting. What about, did he play at the PGA? So he made the cut at Bethpage Black back in 2019. So Joel Dahmen, somebody, he's not actually one of my main top 5 sleeper picks. But he is somebody that I wanted to just talk about with you, let you make your own decision. If you're looking to, if you're going down that low, depending on how you're building. All right, let's go back. Moving down, Harry Higgs. Let's talk about Harry. So right now, 5% projection ownership, 6,900. People are going to be on him. 2 points. You know, people think of Harry pretty long off the tee, which, you know, he is semi-long off the tee. And he had a 9th place finish here in the past. You know, recent results, you know, nothing spectacular. I think, you know, people were really looking at him during this time period when he was at the Zozo to CJ. And I think it was Sanderson Farms. There was one where he actually was in contention for a bit. Well, let's go take a gander at Harry and find that out. So Poa, not his best surface, but can play in wind. Where was it? So the Safeway. I apologize. It was start with an S. Is where he almost pulled a victory out. All right, let's look at, we already looked at the Farmers. We know that the Genesis, nothing. Wells, nothing. Some of these guys are not going to have, you know, any of these things that we're looking at. Harry, you know, not too long off, probably the Corn Ferry. Let me do that one last. Let's see the Houston. So he missed a cut. That was about the only other course that, but again, he's not actually one of my sleeper, you know, my top 5 sleeper picks, but he is somebody that, again, I think, you know, not a bad fit. Someone that you could definitely look to. Wyndham Clark. And I think a few of the guys in the industry are, you know, talking about Wyndham Clark. I don't, you know, there's 2 points, you know, decent length off the tee. And then, you know, he can get very hot with a putter and likes Poa. He had a 35th, missed a cut last year, had a 35th in 2019. His last best showing was Bermuda, which is, you know, definitely not a comp course for what we're talking about here. But just, you know, put it together there, just couldn't pull out the victory. And if we go dive into, so there's the positive on Poa. And here's funny because, you know, his worst surface is Bermuda and almost won that tournament. So there you go. By difficulty, can play, you know, difficult courses, can play somewhat in the wind. Had a little downtick in the fall, but has been on the uprise from a stroke gain perspective. The approach is what makes me nervous. And you do need to, you know, you need to be a good approach player. But again, when you're down this low, you're not going to get the whole skill set, or they would not be here. So the Farmers, we already looked at that. He had a 35th. Genesis, he had a 17th in 2020. So that's, again, Riviera. It's a good fit. What about Wells Fargo? Missed the cut in 2019. Arnold Palmer had a 68th. So that's but, you know, at least he played it. At least he made the cut. Houston, no. And then did he play in the PGA? Not in 2019 and missed the cut at Harding Park. Okay. So, again, he is someone to definitely take a look at. All right. Who else? Scott Stallings. So, Scott Stallings actually, in the model that I created, ranked like one of the highest for his price. But as I dug more into Scott, he's not going to be one of my top 5s, but you know, he's got some positives. So let's talk about it. So Poa is his best surface, not so great in the wind and not so great and difficult. And that's probably some of the things is, you know, ball striking, stroking analysis is on a slight uptrend. He missed the cut at the Amex. His best finish recently was Sanderson Farms. If we go look at the comp courses, so Wells Fargo. So this is when I started to go through this is what kind of tell me that this probably isn't the best fit for Scott Stallings, even though from a, you know, key stroke category area or stroking analysis area, he kept, you know, he kind of popped up quite a bit. And I can show you that just so you can see what I'm talking about. Why don't I do that? So where is he? Scott Stallings. So he came up on my model 14th. And so driver distance, not bad. Fairways gain, not good. But green and reg, approach pretty solid. Ball striking pretty solid. Putting, you know, top 37 out of 150 some guys. 3-putt avoidance is good. But proximity from 200 is not so good. But for 175 to 200, solid. And he's got 20 rounds. So, you know, he's got some history at this. Good on long par 4s. Par 5 scoring is, you know, a little better than mid of the pack. Sand save's not so good in scrambling, you know, middle of the pack. So that's, you know, I want you to see that. Get off there. Okay, here we go. But the more like I said, that I kind of started to dig, and I just don't think it's a great match course-wise. So Bridgestone, that's a tough course. You know, they don't play there now, but, you know, and that's way back, but I'm not saying that was a huge factor. What about, did he play in the PGA? Nope, not in 2019. What was his history at Farmers? I know we probably already looked at this. So this is kind of interesting. So recently, you know, some 40th place finishes, and he missed the cut a couple years, but he does have a win here, and then a second. So again, that's why I'm showing you guys this, you know, just so you can make your own calls. From an ownership perspective, what was he, like 5%? No, 3.6. So something to think about. Let's move on. Johnny Vegas. Johnny Vegas' game is, you know, just not been there. Like when I think of Johnny Vegas, I think of the Players, where he made that crazy putt on that island par 3. I think that was 2 years ago. That's like the last time I remember Johnny Vegas kind of coming out of nowhere and showing up. But he did have a 20th place at Mayakoba. So, you know, out of the last, you know, 5 tournaments, recent results, at least he's made 3 out of the 5 cuts. If we go into some of his history, so putting on POA is, again, from splits, is his worst surface, but can play in the wind. It's showing his stroke gain is on the way up at least. Approach, you know, you can see pretty much off the tee is where, you know, he's got some elite form, but everything else is kind of blah. We already got the Farmers, so that's also what's interesting. You know, he had a 30th here last year, and a couple missed cuts, but he did have a 3rd place way back. You know, he's at 11, so he's got some course history here that tends to say you know, he could show up. You know, Wells Fargo, he had an 8th place. That's again at Quail Hollow. That was 2019. If we pull up Genesis, you know, nothing in recent, but of course some past course history there. He's done well. Let's see. How do I start doing that again? Let's see, the PGA in 2019, he missed a cut. That's I think the best course to, you know, if you try to, just they don't play enough tournaments at Bethpage Black. So again, he's not going to be on one of my top 5 picks, but I wanted to share that with you, just so you again make your own decisions. JJ Spawn, you know, had some decent course history here, but his game too is, you know, not, you know, if you look at last 5 tournaments, these are on easier courses against easier fields. You know, not so hot. Let's see, is this his stuff? Nope. Maybe I don't have his stuff up. Let's just take a quick look. So putting perspective, nothing really looking, but difficult courses, windy, not so good. His, you know, been on the downward spiral. Best place was a 9th. But I believe, so, you know, this is what I wanted to show. So his history at the Farmers, you know, he had a 30th recently, missed a cut in 2019, but it's had a 23rd and a 9th. So some people might go to there. The Genesis is 63rd, so did make the cut. Wells, nothing. What about Arnold? You know, that's kind of a little bit past history, but I think he played. So there you go. So he did play at Bethpage back in 2019 and did have a 54th. So he made the cut. So again, we're down here. You know, nothing's perfect, but someone that you could look at or think about. Again, didn't make my top 5 sleepers. Let's see who else. Kevin Tway. This is a little interesting. You probably never heard me talk about Kevin Tway. The only reason why I'm talking about Kevin Tway is because he's 6,100. He does hit the ball pretty well off the tee. from a length perspective. He's pretty low owned. But if you look at his tournament history, some about this course he likes. And this is all pretty recent. I mean, except for that 2014. But he's never missed a cut here. And so when you're talking 6,100 and you are trying to build a Rahm, Rory, or, you know, a bunch of guys up in the 9,000, you know, if you're going to go down here, that's why I also picked Grayson. These are two guys that you could look to, you know, to be differentiate your lineup. Grayson Murray is at men. Typically when I go down the route of Grayson Murray, it ends up burning me. But again, he's made the cut here, and his, you know, from a driving perspective, you know, his game kind of fits this. But again, if you look, both of these guys, you know, terrible recent form. If we click on Kevin Twain, I think I already had him up, but I just clicked on. You know, Poa is barely positive. Difficult courses and win, not so good. You can see his game is, from a stroke game, has been on the downturn, represented here. But it literally, it's just the course history that you could go off, you know, and he missed a cut. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's Sanderson Farms. Okay, so he hasn't missed a cut here ever. So that's, I mean, what do you do with that, right? There's, as I've always said, there's horses for courses, and maybe this is just one for him. But if you look at the Genesis, no good. If you look at Wells Fargo, he had a 5th back in 2017. I don't think he's ever played WGC Mexico. Nope. Played a couple others, made the cuts in them, but not sure if that's relative. PGA, did he play? Oh, yeah, and he made the cut. So that was everything. He did make the cut. Not good, but he made the cut at Beth Page. So that's an idea. If you really are getting a little fancy and want to get a little crazy with your builds, the Grayson Murray, it's about the same thing. You know, we already looked, you know, he has a good showing at the Farmers, you know, made, you know, nothing great, but as he's made, again, at bare men, he's made the cut. Let's take a look at Genesis. Nope. And Wells Fargo, he's made the cut both times at Wells Fargo. Again, little pass, but again, I think it's a course that represents. I don't think he's ever played WGC. How about the Houston? Nope, missed the cut. And then PGA, that was 2017. So funny enough, back in the day. So that's it from a super perspective. Let's go to the guys that then I am actually get out of here. All right. I didn't do my fades yet. Let's go ahead. We'll do my fades, and then I'll go ahead and tell you my top 5, which I think you already got a pretty good. All right. So real quick, my fades, nothing's changed. Matthew Wolff, until he shows me, and some people are going to be like, oh, he had some, you know, this, that at the American Express, but I saw still a guy that is a bit lost comparative to where he was. So I'm off Matthew Wolff until he, you know, until he burns me. Brooks Koepka, you know, I was back and forth on this one because I try to get in Brooks' mind to the best you can. And again, I looked at the Amex. He had to play there. He went there as a warm-up round for this. He likes challenges. You also got to think the U.S. Open is coming here. And so this is, again, his practice round. I look at it that way. All this guy cares about is majors. Is he going to go out and try to do well? Yes. He's not out there to not, but is he putting in all the things that he typically does when he prepares? Also, there's the Claude Harmon 3 angle, right? That, you know, that's all over the news where he separated back in November. Some people think he was pissed because he was working with DJ and then DJ won the Masters. I don't, you know, who knows what the reasoning is. I just think right now, you know, he's a little bit lost, especially from a mind perspective. And, you know, I haven't seen anything. You know, we saw some things that looked good. I think it was the Houston. He got like a second or third end up there. Then he had the Masters was, you know, okay. But again, you know, it's a tough call. He might go out and take this very seriously because of the U.S. Open. But right now, like I said, he's going to be one of my fades until, again, kind of proven otherwise. Sungjae Im, you know, this is purely, I just don't think it's a course fit. You know, I think, you know, I don't think there's a lot of heavy, I forgot what the projection ownership, I think it was less than 10%, but, and it also poses worse putting surface. So that was part of it. And then Seb Straka, which I'm a Seb Straka guy, and you would think this would be a pretty good course, but everything that I started to do analysis on didn't show up that this is actually a good fit for Seb. So I'm actually off him. And what I'm showing you is the guys that I'm fading are the guys that, you know, people might tend to want to play. And I'm just saying from everything that I could find and think of, these are guys that I'm kind of off. All right, so my sleepers. We went through them in detail, so we'll just move through it quickly. I mentioned Taylor Gooch, probably my favorite sleeper for the $7,600 price tag. I like CH3. I think he's steady. He's kind of what they call a condom play, a safe play. But I think, you know, again, could be definitely someone that gets you through the weekend, get your points. Dylan Fratelli, I think he's more volatile. I think he's a guy that could literally go out in top 20 or miss the cut. You know, it's just whatever the guy does, one or the other. Typically, it's you know, like we saw at the Masters, the guy comes out of nowhere, just plays amazing, or just goes out and plays terrible. But I kind of like him. Wyndham Clark, again, you know, I don't think he's going to be that sleepy. I think some people are going to be on him, but I think it's a good play. And then Kevin Tway, you know, we already said from an ownership perspective, he's going to be down there. But if you are trying to make that Rahm Rory build, or, you know, just heavy up top, I think it's a good way to go. You know, the guy, maybe this will be his first time missed the cut, but from a course perspective, he likes something here. And then lastly, just a quick plug again. Hey, I created a video I think you guys should check out if you have not already, the Birdie Streak bonus player, especially if you're playing Showdown. These are the guys that, from a percent-wise, will likely hit a Birdie Streak bonus during their 4 rounds. There's a lot more into it. Jump on it. I just released it a couple days ago, so check that out. And that's it. Thank you for attending. I wish us all the success, and you know, hopefully this is another good tournament for us. You know, we've been doing well, and I plan on keeping it that way. Just keep doing, outworking the other guys and giving you guys the information. So if you like what you've been seeing, please click the like button. It means the world. If you don't like some things that I do or what I say, or, you know, disagree, awesome. You know, click the dislike and just comment. Tell me what it is. I'm always trying to get better. Share it with anybody that you think would also get value. And if you have not subscribed, the base is growing. It's a slow grow, but I've been doing this for now 5 months, actually doing the shows. Myself been doing this for over 5 years and played and watched golf my whole entire life. So it's just something that kind of just worked out. I enjoy doing this. You know, I'm not making any money at it. I don't plan on making any money at it. It's just I do all this work, and I'm like, hey, might as well share it with other people, and hope we all prosper. All right. And if you have any questions, anything you want to ask me, or any opinions or anything, just hit me up on DFS at Twitter at DFS Golf Guru, or leave a comment. I check them both, and I'll get back to you. Thanks so much. All the best to us. Take care, guys.